What's the most obnoxious America-centric behavior you've ever witnessed? I'm currently on a coach tour around Europe with 43 other travelers. There are 4 Americans including me and my wife, while the rest are from all around the world. My wife, the man from North Carolina, and I are conscious of the stereotypes associated with ugly Americans. We are committed to avoiding any behavior that perpetuates such stereotypes. Right from the start of the tour, when our group met in Paris for a meet and greet, the other American woman stood out as loud and opinionated. Within 5 minutes of arriving, she loudly told the waiters off for quietly talking to each other in French, saying we are all Americans here. She then complained that the foods had the French name on them above the English name, asking if any other foods on the trip could have the American names on them only. She also corrected the other English-speaking nationalities and their particular names for foods. The Brits had fun with this, regularly asking each other if they wanted chips, to which she would loudly correct them, "You mean fries?" Not that they actually ate any fries. Once on the road, we had a different guide in most countries, so each was unaware of this woman's demands. As soon as a guide mentioned any distance in kilometers, she would call out loudly, "Hey, miles, remember, we are Americans." Remember, we were 4 Americans among 43 other non-Americans. The Dutch guide would always respond with a random, very inaccurate number. Whenever the guide called out any prices in euro or krona, she would loudly ask, "What is that in dollars?" Once again the Dutch guide would always respond in an apparently random, inaccurate, number. After 2 days of this, she loudly confronted the guide, having worked out one of his answers was wrong. He pointed out that, no, his calculation was correct. In New Zealand dollars. Whenever we went into any shops, hotels, markets, and so on, she continued loudly with the "what's that in dollars?" theme. She regularly broke the rule about not talking about politics when overseas. I am a mild Democrat, but not rabidly so, while she is extremely pro-Trump. I respect that and don't mind her having her opinions, but not when she constantly and loudly talks about US politics on the bus. The Brits have only just re-elected Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, and she is regularly asking stupid questions about whether he is Republican or Democrat. Why don't Brits have Republican or Democrat like everyone else? She mentions to others that the modern terminology is not Prime Minister, that went away long ago. They are now called presidents. This was to a table of Brits, Australians, and Kiwis, who all have Prime Ministers. She always seems to find some poor unfortunate soul to torture with the diatribe of her life back in Texas, about how they do this and that differently, how it is always bigger and better in Texas. She never once asks the other travelers about where they are from or listens to any of their experiences. I am very pleased to see the other nationalities try to rescue my wife and me, or the gent from North Carolina when she corners us for a one-way conversation. It is actually becoming a bit of fun watching 2 of the New Zealand and British couples having fun baiting her or taking the piss out of her. I am inwardly proud that my fellow travelers don't think of my wife and me as being part of her group just because we come from the same state. Just when I thought she had calmed down, the beast went at it again, giving us Americans a bad name. We had just boarded a new bus in Norway which had a digital temperature readout so passengers could see the outside temperatures in degrees Celsius. Which, by the way, is used in pretty much all countries outside of the USA. I heard a few passengers groan out loud as her voice pierced the quiet serenity with, "Sir, can you please change the clock to real degrees so we know what temperature it is?" The new guide was a little perplexed about what she meant by the clock. He looked at the digital readout and said it appears to be reading correctly, to which she replied, "But it is in those other degrees. Can you turn it back to real degrees? We're Americans." Well, 4 of the 43 were. Group dynamics are a funny thing. 2 weeks ago everyone would have just rolled their eyes and let her have her way. This time, though, a dozen other passengers, I included, called out in unison no. To which some otherwise polite Canadians and Brits added, "Fuck off back to Texas." A sentiment I completely agreed with.